a Member of Parliament from Brampton North, Ruby Sahota, Parliamentary Secretary and Member of Parliament from Brampton East, Maninder Sidhu, and Member of Parliament from Brampton South, Sania Sidhu. I'm extremely pleased also to be joined by my good friend, the Honourable Operation. And last but not the least, it is my greatest honor to have and to welcome to Brampton West the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. Welcome, Prime Minister.
Thank you.
The last 16 months have been extremely challenging for everyone, but it is certainly true for our community of Brampton. But every step of the way, our government has supported Canadians and residents of Brampton, whether it was federally funded programs like the CERB, CRB, the Canadian Wage Subsidy, Rent Subsidy, or supports for our businesses, for workers, for families, for students and seniors. We made sure that Canadians and Bramptonians, our communities, our families, and our businesses are supported. And thanks to our diverse vaccine portfolio, over 55% of eligible Canadians have been fully vaccinated, and we're now one of the most vaccinated countries in the world. As we inch closer to end this pandemic, the federal government has made it clear we will build back better and stronger than ever before. And building back better means investing in our communities and our families. I'm proud to have worked alongside my incredible Brampton colleagues to have secured hundreds of millions of dollars of federal funding to our communities. Whether it was the largest public transit investment made in Brampton, whether it was leading the charge of investing in green electric buses, or investments like the Riverwalk projects, or support for families and children that have helped improve the lives of over 40,000 children right here in Brampton West alone. Our government has shown time and time again that it is here to support Brampton as we build back to our full economic and social potential. We also know that essential part of building back better is ensuring that every Canadian has a place to call home, a place where they can grow, learn, spend time with their loved ones. That is why our government is once again taking steps to ensure that every Canadian has access to safe and affordable housing. At this time last year, Minister Hussain was in Brampton West alongside my Brampton colleagues to make a historic housing announcement, which represented the single largest housing investment ever made by the Government of Canada in the region of Peel. And I'm very excited once again that we're here to bring even more great news for Brampton and for the residents of our community. So allow me, it's with great pleasure to introduce and to welcome this afternoon my good friend and colleague, the Honourable Ahmed Hussain, Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. Merci.
Thank you so much, Kamal, for that kind introduction. Good afternoon, bonjour à tous. Yeah, Omar. Good afternoon, bonjour à tous. I'd like to, of course, begin by also acknowledging that the land we're gathered on today is on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, in particular also the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Ojibwe, the Chippewa peoples, and the Métis and the Mississaugas of the Credit. It is a pleasure to be here with my outstanding colleagues as well as the Prime Minister for this really important announcement. And I have to say, there is no team like this one, a team that has gone above and beyond over the past few years, but especially over the last 14 months, as we have done everything possible to make sure that Canadians continue to have access to housing that is safe and that meets their needs. The COVID-19 pandemic has reminded all of us, as we've urged Canadians to shelter at home, to curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus, that our homes have become places of sanctuary and refuge in these challenging times. Nous avons parlé avec beaucoup de familles canadiennes, y compris ici à Brampton, qui ont été touchées par cette crise. Et elles nous ont fait part de leur inquiétude et des défis auxquels elles font face. We've spoken directly with many families from coast to coast to coast, including right here in Brampton. And they've told us about how they've been impacted by this crisis. And they've shared their concerns and the challenges that they continue to face. And as my colleague has stated, we moved quickly and early during this pandemic to make sure that Canadians have the support that they need. In addition to introducing new programs like the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy, we also enhanced existing programs like the Canada Child Benefit to make sure that no Canadian would be put in the impossible position of having to choose between paying their rent and buying groceries. These measures have provided invaluable relief to families and to our economy. But we didn't stop there. Budget 2021 continues to support Canadian individuals and families. Cela inclut notamment un investissement sans précédent dans l'histoire du Canada par un gouvernement fédéral pour mettre en place un système d'apprentissage et de garde de jeunes enfants. This includes an investment unlike any other by any federal government before us to build an early learning and childcare system that is affordable, accessible, inclusive, and delivers high-quality early learning and childcare from coast to coast to coast. A system that will cut childcare fees in half by next year and deliver an average of $10 a day in childcare fees within the next 5 years. And a game changer in our fight against the ongoing she-cession by giving working moms and parents real options following school closures across the country, including right here in Brampton. We've recently signed agreements with both British Columbia and Nova Scotia, and we hope and look forward to signing agreements with all provinces and territories soon. The bottom line is we are making investments that leave no one behind, ce qui nous amène à la raison pour laquelle nous sommes ici aujourd'hui, which is why we're here today. We know that ensuring housing affordability and access and stability for all Canadians is not a quick fix. It requires ambitious targets, it requires consistent and targeted investments, and we know that the cost of living continues to rise. Individuals who make places like Brampton dynamic communities, paramedics, firefighters, teachers, construction workers, those very individuals that contribute to a great quality of life in our communities are having to live further and further away from our major cities because they're finding it harder and harder to access affordable rental units. Since 2015, we've supported the creation of nearly 100,000 units of housing across the country and repaired over 300,000 homes. But we're not done yet because we know the need is great. Through the Rapid Housing Initiative, we're creating housing for the most vulnerable Canadians. Through the National Housing Co-Investment Fund, we're creating deeply affordable housing units from coast to coast to coast. Through the Rental Construction Financing Initiative, we are adding to the rental stock across the country and building the next generation of rental housing across the country by also contributing to affordable, energy efficient and accessible housing. And through the recent Canada Housing Benefit, we're giving Canadians direct rental supports and supplements so that they can access independent housing that meets their needs. We have many programs working to address the different unique and varied housing challenges that Canadians face across the country. Our 10-year national housing strategy has grown from $40 billion to over $72.5 billion. And just a few weeks ago, we announced 77 new affordable housing units across Peel region, including an estimated 67 new affordable permanent homes right here in Brampton. And through the Co-Investment Fund, we're building a 6-story, approximately 90-unit building of affordable housing right here in Brampton at the Brampton Bramalea Christian Fellowship Residence. So today's announcement is yet another step in the right direction. It's another tangible effort on behalf of our government to make sure that we are responding to the unique housing needs of residents in Brampton. And I know that before I end, I'd like to turn it over to an individual that has worked tirelessly to prioritize housing. an individual that has made it his number one priority to make sure that we are delivering on the housing needs of Canadians across the housing spectrum, from the most vulnerable to those who need deeply affordable housing, to those who need rental supplements through the Canada Housing Benefit, and yes, even through the first-time homebuyer incentive to allow more Canadians to access the dream of home ownership. So, without any further ado, I want to welcome my friend and my leader, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Merci beaucoup.
Hello everyone, bonjour à tous. Thank you, Ahmed, for that introduction and for everything you do for families and for all Canadians. It's also great to be here with Minister Alhabra and with our whole Brampton team, Kamal, Sonia, Maninder and Ruby, for this important announcement today. I want to start today by thanking people across the country for everything you're doing to help beat COVID in Canada. When you roll up your sleeve to get vaccinated, you keep yourself and others safe, and you keep us all on the right path to end the pandemic once and for all. Your efforts are paying off. This weekend, we even passed the US in terms of fully vaccinated people, so let's keep that momentum up. The science is clear. These vaccines are safe and effective. And for those of you who think a first or a second vaccine shot isn't necessary, I ask you to reconsider. Vaccines prevent you from getting sick, from going to the hospital, and from getting your loved ones sick. Now is the time to do it. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you book an appointment and get the shot. We're expecting 7.1 million Pfizer and Moderna doses to arrive in Canada this week. The shots are there for you. And that's good news all around. Thanks to the rising vaccination rates and declining COVID-19 cases, we're able to move forward with adjusted border measures. As long as things stay on the right track, we'll open our borders on September 7th to any traveler who's fully vaccinated with the Canada-approved vaccine at least 14 days before arriving. As a first step, on August 9th, we will be opening non-essential travel to Americans who've been fully vaccinated for at least 14 days. This is in recognition of our unique bond, especially between border communities. À partir du 7 septembre, on va rouvrir nos frontières pour les voyageurs pleinement vaccinés depuis au moins 14 jours avec un vaccin approuvé au Canada. Comme première étape, on va commencer par rouvrir les frontières pour les Américains pleinement vaccinés à partir du 9 août. On continue de suivre une approche mesurée pour la réouverture des frontières. La santé et la sécurité des Canadiens demeurent notre priorité absolue et on ne va jamais faire de compromis là-dessus. Now, on to today's announcement. The people of Brampton have shown true resilience over the last year and a half. I know it hasn't been easy. You've all had to adapt in many different ways. So many of you have made big sacrifices and faced loss. But what didn't change throughout it is the tremendous community spirit here in Brampton and your devotion and commitment to being there for each other. Your very own Member of Parliament, Kamal Kara, proved that when she returned to work as a nurse at the height of the pandemic. Thank you, Kamal. You've inspired your community. You've touched the lives of so many with your dedication and your hard work. Today, we're here because too many Canadians are still facing very real obstacles when it comes to housing affordability and availability. Since 2015, in Brampton alone, we've funded more than 1,600 housing units to tackle the issue. Across the country, we've implemented programs like the First-Time Homebuyers Incentive, which provides support to make mortgages more affordable for younger Canadians. In addition, our rental construction financing initiative has leveraged billions of dollars in private investments to build tens of thousands of new, affordable rental units in communities large and small. These are significant accomplishments. Nonetheless, we're looking to the future knowing we need to do more. That's why Minister Hussein and Deputy Prime Minister Freeland have brought together leaders from all orders of government and across sectors to tackle this pressing issue. We're working hard to develop solutions that will increase the supply of housing for Canadians, from affordable rental units to ownership options. The pandemic has only worsened housing gaps and inequalities, and we know that Canada needs more housing options, and fast. Today, I'm joined by our Brampton team to announce the construction of 302 new affordable rental units here at Mount Pleasant Village. We're building a 26-story residential tower so that hard-working middle-class Canadians will be able to live close to where they work. Take a young grocery store worker who wants to stay in this community but simply can't afford to buy a home and needs more rental options close to their workplace. This is who these affordable units are for. Today's announcement is about increasing the rental supply in Canada, something that has been overlooked for far too many decades. L'annonce d'aujourd'hui fait partie d'un programme qui continue d'aider les familles qui se sentent exclues du marché du logement partout au pays. Alors qu'on travaille à rebâtir en mieux après cette pandémie, le logement abordable reste en tête de notre liste de priorités. More and more young professionals, families, and multi-generation households are setting roots here in Brampton. The city is growing at a record speed. We know that buying a home has become beyond the reach of far too many families. That's why we're delivering innovative solutions. We're also finding new ways to create good-paying jobs while we're at it. Take our latest budget investment of $300 million to convert vacant commercial property into hundreds of rental housing units. This is an opportunity for property owners and communities to explore converting excess space into rental housing, thereby making urban communities like Brampton more livable and more affordable. We're also exploring ways to unlock public land as a tool to create affordable units and innovative pathways to home ownership, including rent-to-own models. This kind of leadership and innovative approach to housing is what this country needs. Once people have secure, stable, and affordable housing, they're able to start fulfilling their potential. That's why we shouldn't think of housing as just a problem, but also as a solution. On a réalisé des importants progrès au cours des dernières années, mais on sait qu'il reste encore du travail à faire. Et c'est exactement pour ça qu'on est ici aujourd'hui. Le logement fera toujours partie de la solution pour des communautés plus en santé, mais aussi pour attirer et retenir les travailleurs et développer notre économie. As a government, we're in your corner. We'll continue to support our recovery, create middle-class jobs, and boost economic growth, and together, we'll keep building a better Canada and a better future for everyone. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for this extremely important announcement for our community in Brampton. I'm so pleased that now 2 years in a row, we made landmark contributions to ensure that everyone in our community and in our country has a place to call home. The positive social and economic benefits of this historic $120 million investment will undoubtedly continue to be felt in this Brampton West community for a long time. And as we're building back better, we're also building back greener and cleaner. So thank you, Prime Minister. And now I'd like to turn to Adam Molson for his closing remarks. Thank you very much. Merci.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, just a moment. All right. Thank you, MP Kamal Khera, and welcome everyone to this exciting announcement today. On behalf of Mitchell Cohen, our President and CEO, and all of us at the Daniels Corporation, I am thrilled to welcome Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister Ahmed Hussein, Minister Omar Al-Gabra, and MPs Ruby Sahota, Maninder Sidhu, and Sonia Sidhu to our MPV community. I would also like to acknowledge Rael Diamond, President and CEO of Choice Properties, who is here with us today. We are excited to be building this transit-oriented community in partnership with the team from Choice Properties, who share our commitment to building vibrant, inclusive, accessible, and sustainable communities. Our partnership is also developing a transit-oriented community on the new Crosstown LRT line in the Golden Mile neighborhood in Scarborough. In both Scarborough and right here in Brampton, our partnership is committed to creating diverse and exclusive communities. We also understand that accomplishing that goal requires a wide spectrum of housing opportunities. The federal government and CMHC's Rental Construction Financing Initiative, or RCFI, is an essential ingredient for bringing much-needed rental homes to this growing community in Brampton. The RCFI program is not just stimulating the creation of new rental stock, it's also walking the talk on inclusion by providing homes that go above and beyond with accessible design. The RCFI program also ensures that we build in an environmentally responsible way. Under RCFI, this new rental building will create quality homes that are not just financially accessible, but physically accessible as well. Our Daniels Accessibility Design Program goes well above Ontario Building Code requirements, offering truly livable suites for people with mobility challenges. Inclusion and belonging are very important to us, and to that end, we're building twice the number of accessible suites than required under the RCFI program. We commend CMHC and the federal government for pushing the envelope on sustainability. Climate change presents an existential challenge, and Daniels is committed to providing leadership within our industry on this front. Here at MPV, we are utilizing a geothermal system to virtually eliminate the burning of fossil fuels for heating and cooling the building. This technology will allow us to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from building operations by 29%. Our transit-friendly location, directly adjacent to the Mount Pleasant GO station, supports a lifestyle with a reduced carbon footprint by providing convenient access to both Brampton local transit and the ability to reach downtown Toronto on the train in under an hour. As you can see, construction is well underway, and I'd like to give a big thank you to our team behind us, very talented and hardworking, building this building day after day. The 26-story building will include 302 rental suites ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms, and will be ready for people to move into in summer 2023. The Daniels team is also excited to be developing a 20-acre environmentally sustainable eco-village just west of our MPV community, providing even more opportunity for people to love where they live within a short distance of the Mount Pleasant Village GO station. So once again, on behalf of both Daniels and our partners at Choice Properties, thank you to CMHC and the federal government for supporting the creation of accessible and sustainable rental homes in our community. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite the Prime Minister back up to the podium, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now take questions from the media. Just for a reminder, it's one question, and if you have a follow-up afterwards. Over.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for taking my question. My name is Nada Zafar. I'm from The Pointer. This question is for the Prime Minister as well as for Minister Hussein. This announcement is a step in the right direction, but enough money has just never been put into affordable housing in Peel. And there is a very, very large gap that a couple hundred units is just not going to begin to cover. So how can the federal government help close the gap, and will the government commit to creating a Peel-specific housing strategy?
We've recognized over the past number of years that the federal government had to get back into the business of investing in housing. When we arrived in 2015, the federal government had removed itself entirely from the business of investing in housing, and therefore we had some catching up to do. That's why we invested historic amounts in a national housing strategy to kick things off. In 2017, we announced the Rental Construction Financing Initiative that actually is what has led to this current construction here. But not just this one. We invested $10 billion over the past years to create 30,000 1,000 units through this investment in partnership with the private sector, and almost half of those units, about 14,500, were developed in Ontario alone. So we have made significant steps through that initiative, but also through other initiatives, whether it's the Rapid Housing Initiative, whether it's through the First-Time Homebuyers Incentive, whether it's through a range of investments that have allowed for low-income housing and housing affordability. But we recognize there's more to do, and we will continue to do it. I can understand that the need is great and far too many families are struggling, and that's why this government continues to step up and deliver real results for people across Peel and indeed right across the country.
So just a quick follow-up, is a Peel-specific strategy something in the works or a possibility?
We've continued to work with our outstanding group of MPs here to move forward on every project we can. We continue to look at more opportunities. We recognize that here in Peel the growth rates and the needs are quite significant, and that's why we have been investing so much in this area. But for more details on that, I'm happy to turn it over to Minister Hussain to complete this a little bit. Ahmed.
Thank you, Prime Minister. The only thing I would add is, so last year we made an announcement of $276 million specifically for Peel Region. Peel Region had gotten together and announced an ambitious 10-year plan worth $1 billion to tackle severe and core housing need in this region. And we stepped up to help them get to that target by contributing $276 million, which was the largest historic investment, the largest investment by the federal government in affordable housing in Peel Region. On top of that, we've included Peel Region in the Rapid Housing Initiative, as the Prime Minister has indicated. There are a number of projects that have been either committed or built through the National Housing Co-Investment Fund to introduce deeply affordable housing units in Peel Region. We continue to work with with all the municipalities in Peel Region to make sure that the federal government is there for them as they also step up to add to the stock of affordable housing supply in this region. I joined the Prime Minister in saying that, of course, there's always more work to be done, but we have, of course, substantially invested in this region because we know the need is great, but we'll continue to do that, and more work needs to be done, absolutely.
Hello, Jamie with City TV, and I'm asking this question on behalf of Enrique, who is with Omni Television. As we see the situation in Afghanistan deteriorate, Sikh communities in Canada are worried about minorities in Afghanistan who have often been the target of extremists. Is there plans and work to accept these refugees? Are we going to accept refugees? Great.
We have been working over the past number of years on initiatives regarding Afghan Sikhs. We have had good progress on that, and we actually continue to work on it. We understand how concerning the current deterioration of the situation in Afghanistan is for many people who have loved ones over there. I can assure you that our Minister of Immigration, Marco Mendicino, is working directly on this file alongside many members of our caucus who've been advocating strongly for this.
Thank you.
Prabjot Sohal, Red FM. My question is that the pandemic has been very hard on some big box warehouse workers like Amazon, and currently there is a drive to unionize Amazon workers. US President Joe Biden had backed up these efforts and said that there will be no intimidation or pressure tactics that will be tolerated. What is going to be your stand about Amazon workers' union drive?
I think one of the things that's been very, very clear over the past number of years of our leadership is that we consider that labor and that unions are an essential part of growing the middle class. The work that organized labor has done across the country, across decades, has led in large part to the prosperity we're seeing in this country now. And through our close working partnership with organized labor over the past years, we have seen many significant things of progress, and not just in terms of outcomes for workers, but in terms of outcomes for things that have mattered for the entire country. When we were renegotiating the NAFTA agreement, we made sure that top labor leaders were part of our NAFTA Advisory Council to make sure that we were standing up for workers' rights. As a government, we have always been there to stand up for workers, whether it was steel or aluminum workers in the face of unfair tariffs from the Trump administration, or whether it's through investing in solutions for labor like apprenticeships and training. We will continue to work hand in hand with organized labor as they continue to stand up for workers in all industries, in all areas across the country.
Hi, Prime Minister. Heather Butts with CTV National News. CTV News has spoken to interpreters on the ground in Afghanistan who are fearful for their lives. Over the last couple of weeks, you and your ministers have said you are working on a plan to help interpreters who worked with the CIF. And earlier today, your Deputy Prime Minister said that she's confident that you'll do the right thing. But people want a clear plan. So, Prime Minister, when will you announce a firm plan to rescue and resettle Afghan interpreters who say they're Taliban targets because of their service to Canada?
Around the world, there are always Canadians who've worked hard to support people and had relied on locally engaged staff, either at embassies or people like interpreters and guides in some of the most dangerous parts of the world. Canadians continue to have engagements around the world, and people around the world are supporting them. It is so important that we be there for people who've put their lives at risk to support Canadians, and that's why we are working extremely hard, and we'll have more to say very soon on how we're going to be supporting those people in Afghanistan, interpreters, guides, drivers, locally engaged consular staff who've been there to help Canada make a difference in that country and around the world. I can tell you I've had recent conversations with ministers on this, and we're getting very close to being able to make an announcement.
I'll just ask one follow-up to that because you didn't provide a timeline for when exactly we'll hear the clear plan. So I just wanted to get your take on this then. Interpreters say they're in hiding in Afghanistan, and now CAF veterans, our veterans, are stepping in and organizing their own evacuation plans. So how do you feel that veterans are stepping in the absence of a government plan?
Okay. First of all, it is not the habit of the government to announce announcements that we're going to be announcing later. We make announcements when we're ready to make the commitment and actually take action. And that is what we are making sure that we are doing. This is an extremely important issue to this government. It is extremely important to many veterans, as you've pointed out, who feel strongly that we need to support the people who supported them, and we agree. That is why we are working to ensure that we are able to provide sanctuary to those people and their families who have supported Canadians over our many years of engagement in Afghanistan.
Hello Prime Minister, this is Jasleen from BTC Punjabi. My question is about NRI fraud marriages. There have been many complaints about NRI fraud marriages. Some people are making big money by arranging wedding ties in India and helping in getting Canadian citizenship here. There has been a recent case in Punjab where a boy has committed suicide and the girl is here in Toronto. This case is all over social media. Chairperson of the Women Commission in Punjab has written a letter to you this morning requesting to take some rapid action and stop such exploitation and bring the culprits to justice. She has also requested for operations to deport such fraudsters, including confiscation of passports. Will you think of bringing changes to the immigration rules?
It is a particularly vile practice that fraudulent immigration consultants impose on people who are desperately seeking a better life to come to Canada. If someone can promise to you that they can accelerate your file with the Government of Canada, they're lying to you. Yes, there are legitimate immigration consultants who can help you with the processes, but there are too many people making promises to vulnerable people that they simply cannot back up. Again, the Government of Canada has taken a number of steps to crack down on fraudulent immigration consultants. That's why I would encourage everyone to consult the official Government of Canada websites for information on how to protect themselves from fraudulent extortionists and criminals who will try and take your money and not deliver you on the promise of coming to Canada. We will continue to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect vulnerable people around the world from these criminal practices. But as you know, many of these people are based in other countries and are beyond the reach of Canadian law. And that's why I impress upon people here in Canada to tell your acquaintances, tell your family members that the immigration processes are available through the Government of Canada website, and to be very careful of people who are promising you easy answers to what is necessarily a complex system.
My follow-up is that will government think of tightening the immigration rules in Canada?
No, we're not going to tighten immigration rules. We know how important it is to continue to be open to people coming to this country, bringing family members over, joining family members for important occasions like funerals and weddings. It's been a long pandemic and far too many families have been separated, and quite frankly, Canada needs more people coming to build their lives and their future in Canada so we can pick up the pace of this recovery. We're going to continue to be the open, generous country we've always been, continue to take advantage of the fact that Canadians remain positive towards immigration even as so many other countries turn their backs. The Liberal Party has always been the party of immigration. We will continue to make sure that we have a strong, rigorous, but generous immigration system to allow people to come, build their lives here, and build our country better every step of the way.
My name is Amir Tufail from Parvasi Television. Government is taking an initiative to support green energy, which is phenomenal. However, what we have seen is all the places of worship have been excluded from the list. They will not be facilitated with this green energy initiative. What are the reasons behind it, and why the places of worship are being ignored in this regard?
First of all, there is not one green initiative that this government is putting forward. We've put forward multiple initiatives to help Canadians, to help businesses, to help nonprofit and private and public sector institutions green their profiles, whether it's with retrofits, whether it's with investments, whether it's by putting a price on pollution to encourage people to make choices that pollute less. We will continue to have programs that are there to support a better energy efficiency. This initiative we're investing in right here, was glad to see it's going to feature significant geothermal sources of energy. We will always encourage everyone to look at ways where they can green their footprints regardless of what institution you're part of. And there are many programs to encourage that, but there's a lot of people doing it on their own as well because they know it's the right thing, that it's not just the path to a cleaner and better future for future generations. It's also a path to saving money, creating jobs, and growing our economy in the right ways.
Mon nom est Freddy Matin, je travaille pour Radio-Canada. La question s'adresse au Premier ministre. La frontière rouvrira donc dans les semaines prochaines pour le voyageur des États-Unis, donc le citoyen américain. En raison notamment de la variante Delta, la situation tend à se compliquer au niveau des États-Unis. Est-ce que si la situation ne s'améliore pas, à quel moment devra-t-on faire marche arrière sur la réouverture?
D'abord, vous savez très bien que notre priorité a toujours été la santé, la sécurité des Canadiens et jamais on va hésiter à faire les investissements et prendre les mesures nécessaires pour protéger les Canadiens. Alors oui, on est très content de pouvoir rouvrir de façon graduelle et responsable, mais à chaque étape, nous allons évaluer les chiffres, les données, les résultats des tests de dépistage à la frontière pour voir si on a besoin de prendre d'autres mesures. La réalité, c'est que la meilleure protection, c'est de continuer à augmenter le débit des vaccinations. Je sais qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui commencent à voir qu'on est vacciné à des très hauts pourcentages et les gens continuent à se vacciner et ils se disent « Ah, j'aurais peut-être pas besoin de me faire vacciner parce que tous mes voisins ont été vaccinés. La réalité, c'est que ce soit les variants, que ce soit des éclosions limitées dans les mois à venir, les gens qui vont se retrouver à l'hôpital, les gens qui vont avoir les pires cas, ça va être principalement des gens qui ont choisi de ne pas se faire vacciner. C'est pour ça que c'est si important de se faire vacciner et à chaque étape, on va continuer de surveiller pour s'assurer qu'on est en train de protéger la sécurité et la santé de tous les Canadiens.
Une dernière question, Monsieur le Premier ministre, si c'est possible aussi de répondre en anglais à la fin. Est-ce que le gouvernement est prêt à mettre en place rapidement certaines des recommandations émises par le Conseil national de musulmans canadiens, notamment en ce qui concerne les changements au code criminel et pour ce qui est de la mise en place d'un bureau du rapporteur spécial de l'islamophobie? Merci.
Tout d'abord, il n'y a pas de place pour l'islamophobie au Canada. Nous allons continuer de lutter, comme on le fait depuis bien des années, contre toute forme d'intolérance, que ce soit l'islamophobie, l'antisémitisme, le racisme anti-noir ou d'autres formes d'intolérance comme, malheureusement, le racisme anti-asiatique qu'on a vu trop souvent pendant cette pandémie aussi. Alors, nous allons être là. Nous avons d'ailleurs organisé un colloque sur l'islamophobie la semaine prochaine où on va entendre des recommandations des experts, des communautés, des gens comme le Conseil national des musulmans sur comment nous pouvons en faire encore plus pour lutter contre l'islamophobie. J'ai bien hâte de travailler avec ces organismes-là pour s'assurer qu'on met fin à cette intolérance. Islamophobia is something that we take extremely seriously as a country and will continue to stand against, alongside standing against anti-Semitism, against anti-black racism, against all forms of intolerance, including the troubling rise in anti-Asian racism that we've seen over the past months of this pandemic. We know that there is much more to do, which is why we've organized a forum against Islamophobia next week that will allow us to hear from the National Council of Muslims, but also a broad range of experts and community representatives who will talk about what we can do more as a country to fight against Islamophobia. There are many things the federal government has been doing and will continue to do, but there are many things also provincial and municipal governments, as well as ordinary Canadians, can do to fight against Islamophobia and intolerance and hate.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. AJ here from Parvasi Radio. And my question is, we have seen that businesses have suffered a lot during crisis last year. And it seems, presumably, that it's going to take a year more to recover. So what are your measures of your government to facilitate these businesses further?
We know that businesses across the country have been hard hit by the pandemic. We know that this has been extremely difficult for everyone, with sacrifices made, with challenges faced, with loss and heartbreak throughout this pandemic. But at the same time, we've seen Canadians come together, and we made a very direct promise to Canadians that we would be there to have Canadians' backs, and that's exactly what we've done. With historic records, historic levels of investment in communities, in workers, in families, in women, in seniors, in young people, and in small businesses. We are going to continue to work to be there for Canadians, to be there for small businesses as we come through this pandemic and as we move beyond into building back better.
Thank you.
Hi, Holly Mackenzie-Suter with Canadian Press. I'm here to ask you about the U.S.-Canada border. I'm just wondering, have you been in touch with U.S. President Joe Biden about your government's announcement that fully vaccinated Americans can enter Canada as of August 9th? And when do you expect the U.S. will reciprocate and allow fully vaccinated Canadians into that country?
First of all, from the very beginning, way back to March 2020, we have always been in close communication with the American government in terms of our border, in terms of measures that we've taken going forward. Every country makes its own decisions about what it does as its borders, but the fact that we've been aligning ourselves as closely as we have over the past year and a half has been extremely positive for our our country and for both of our countries. I can tell you that as we made decisions around reopening to the world in early September and to American travelers a few weeks before that, we kept the American government fully apprised of exactly those issues. We will continue to work with them, but understand and respect that every country makes its own decisions about what it does at its borders.
Thanks. And follow up about your previous statement that 75% of Canadians would need to be fully vaccinated before the U.S. border reopens. The Canada Gazette recently revised an order in council to remove the 75% benchmark. So why did you and your government change your minds about requiring that level of vaccination before reopening the border?
We said from the very beginning that we would take a gradual and progressive approach on reopening the border, and we are doing exactly that. We've seen record levels of vaccination. Canada is leading the world in terms of first doses, and we've just surpassed the Americans in terms of fully vaccinated Canadians. We're going to continue to move forward in a thoughtful and responsible way, but the fact is people need to continue to get vaccinated with their second doses, and those who've been hesitant need to get their first doses. We are going to be seeing cases continue around the world, even as Canada gets the vaccine, the virus under control. And the cases of people getting severe outcomes or being hospitalized or even dying in the coming months will be primarily amongst people who are unvaccinated. So there are people who are thinking that, oh, you know what, so many people around me have gotten vaccinated that maybe I don't need to get vaccinated. Well, those are the people who are actually going to be at risk of getting COVID and getting serious complications from COVID over the coming months. So again, we need to encourage everyone to get vaccinated as soon as possible so we can all get back to all the activities that we care about while keeping our loved ones safe.
Hi Prime Minister, thanks for taking my question. Well, once the life goes back to the normal, the large number of people will be coming from overseas. So what are the measurements for healthcare and housing sector for them?
The reality is we will continue to be open to immigration from around the world. We will continue to make sure that we are protecting Canadians, that we are keeping health and safety at the forefront of all of our reflections, but at the same time we will ensure that we are engaging with the world in responsible, positive ways. And that's exactly what we've already done and what we will continue to do. This is something that matters to all of us, and opening to the world in safe ways is what today's earlier announcement by the ministers was all about.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a question about autism. Let me highlight that as a federal government, we've continued to move forward on an autism strategy and, quite frankly, worked closely with the provinces on that. We recognize that healthcare is provincial, but the federal government has been there to provide support on autism, and we will continue to. It is something important for all of us. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, sir. Merci tout le monde. Oh, a mask.